We eliminated nitrates, for example, sodium nitrites and nitrates, and preservatives like BHT. We took a lot of that out of the diet. And we had our road trip to visit grandma and grandpa. So we got there for the weekend. And even though she had the best intentions, she wasn't as familiar with some of the ingredients. Nitrates were involved. So let's just say we got there Friday night, and by Saturday afternoon, he was running through the house like a Tasmanian devil. He was just like, who is this child? And we could tell, okay, here it is. When we avoided that, he was so calm at home and so peaceful, no behavior problems. But then he was reintroduced to it by accident, and we saw the behavior emerge again.
Welcome to A Mother's Guide Through Autism podcast. I'm Brigitte Shipman, your host, and I want to know, what if what's on your child's plate could help calm their behavior, improve their focus, and bring more peace to your home? In today's episode, I'm joined by Sonya Bell, a registered nurse, autism mom, and integrative nutrition health coach. She knows firsthand how overwhelming the early years can be. After both her son and daughter were diagnosed with neurodevelopmental conditions, Sonya began exploring the powerful link between food and behavior. Stick around, you don't want to miss this, and learn how small changes in nutrition can make a big difference in your child's well-being and your family's daily life. Welcome to Mother's Guide, Sonya.
Welcome. It is I'm so happy to be here, Brigitte. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here and to share.
Oh, it's an honor for sure. The listeners that do follow Mother's Guide know I love learning, and I continue to learn, and that's why I keep doing the podcast, is because I know you're going to give us so much information. And even when you think you've heard it all, which I've been around a long time, we haven't heard it all. So I can't wait to hear your wisdom and what you've learned on your journey. I'd like for you to just kind of introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and about your story.
Thank you. Thank you, Brigitte, again for this opportunity. I am Sonya Bell, the owner of Beyond Radiant Health Coaching, and I am, like you said, a registered nurse. I'm a retired registered nurse, integrative nutrition health coach, an author. I've written 2 books, and a mom, a wife, all of the things. I really enjoy educating other parents about the link between food and behavior. That has brought me so much joy, because I've seen throughout the years the benefits and rewards of that. And so it really brings me joy to share that with other parents.
That is wonderful. And I think I love the stories like that where you're kind of really paying forward your knowledge from your own personal story. And tell us about your early time with the diagnosis and just some of your struggles that you experienced.
Okay, sure. My son he's 24 now. I'll just say that. He's 24 now, and he was 2 years old when he was diagnosed with autism. So that was 22 years ago. And my daughter, she's 28 now, and she doesn't have a diagnosis of autism. Her diagnosis falls along the lines of ADHD and learning disabilities. She was, I think, 5 or 6 when she was diagnosed. Early on with him, especially, she's always been verbal. But with my son, he started out being verbal, and then probably around the age, or right before he turned 2, or I think it was right around the age of 2, my husband and I noticed that the language stopped, and he stopped giving us eye contact. We really thought it was his hearing. I thought, well, let me get his hearing checked, so we made appointments. I'm in Georgia. So here in the Atlanta area, at that time, I'm not sure if they still do this, but the Atlanta area School for the Deaf, they gave free hearing screenings. So we did that. Everything was fine. The pediatrician, she examined him. She didn't see anything going on with his hearing. So then we took it a step further, and we had him evaluated by a speech therapist. And she told us, we had 2 different speech therapists. They both told us that we needed to have him further evaluated to rule out autism. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that was when this journey really began down that road for autism. Even though I was working as a nurse before, that was really with elderly. I did home health. I didn't work with peds. I didn't work with children. And so autism was new to me. I was up late doing research, just trying to find out, okay, what is this? I really
Mm-hmm.
wanted a name for it because I wanted to see how I could help him.
Yeah, listening to you, I instantly go back to hearing the word autism, and like you, because my background is education, we
Mm-hmm.
covered maybe a paragraph
Mm-hmm.
of autism when I was getting my teaching degree. And even through all the years of teaching, autism still, I mean, there's obviously lots more information out there, but it certainly is at that time, and it still is because I work with moms, such
Mm-hmm.
a devastating diagnosis. And this podcast is all about hope and knowledge and inspiration. So, for any mom listening out there that is at the beginning of their journey, do you want to just say, hey, about you can feel like I can feel
Oh
the
yeah.
whole thing, right?
Definitely, definitely. I want moms, and there are some dads out there too, mostly moms. We know there are some dads and some grandparents have
Yeah, absolutely.
go down this journey. So if you are a caretaker of a child newly diagnosed on the spectrum, then I just want them to be open to change, like being open to trying something that is not standard. People don't always think about changing the nutrition, even though I think for me that's like, okay, why not? But for some people, and it can be very challenging, but I want people to be open to the change because when we really learn about certain ingredients and how that impacts our kids' brain and the difference that it really makes, then we're more apt to make those choices. Like I said, it can be challenging, but if you do it and you start early on, early intervention is so important. And that's one thing that I feel really has played a key in our development with our children. We started early.
Yeah, that's an important message. And you do have the background as a registered nurse. So, how did that really influence your journey? And how did you get to pivot the integrative nutrition coaching with that background?
That's a good question. Thanks for asking that question.
Yeah.
Okay, so this may sound a little odd, but because of my background as a registered nurse, I didn't really want to go down the road of medications. Okay. I didn't want to do that. I wanted, if I had to, I would, but I
Mhm.
didn't really want to. I know about side effects from medications, and I just did not want to do that. And
Mhm.
so I feel like this the diagnosis of autism really helped to pivot me into a different direction and going into holistic integrative healthcare. I prayed about it. I pray a lot. Faith is really big for me, and I prayed and I asked God to help me and navigate the journey of autism. Praying about that, he led me to this integrative doctor that was an hour away from where we live. But this doctor, he was both a traditional medical doctor and an integrative doctor. So he gave us a lot of options. We did different testing, like we did blood tests, we did stool cultures. He introduced me to leaky gut. My son had leaky gut. This was 20 years ago. I didn't even know what leaky gut was. And so he
Mhm.
gave us a whole list of nutritional things that we could do and supplementation that we could do to help. And that really was honestly the start in my path along the lines of that. We saw that doctor probably about 3 or 4 times, and he moved out of state. And the doctor that came behind him, it wasn't a good fit because his specialty was cancer. So we went to see him one time and we didn't go back. And for maybe 3 months, I just continued the protocol that I had from this first doctor. And then I met a mom in a waiting room at a therapy center. She introduced me to the naturopathic doctor that we still see today. Yeah.
That's amazing. So
So
you have seen this naturopath for how many years?
21 years. Yeah. Yeah. Off and on.
Wow.
Like in the beginning, we saw her every 3 to 4 months, then go to, twice a year. And then he really got onto a path when he was doing well. And so
Mhm.
it became, we didn't see her for a few years, quite honestly. And
Okay.
then we started back. Now it's like annually. So once a year, we see her now. But yeah, and she's helped
Yeah.
not just my son, my daughter. I've gone to see her. Like, we really have this holistic mindset for our families, and try. And we still have a traditional doctors. We have a family doctor. I have my doctors, but I love to see her. We have a very close relationship, and she's taught me a lot over the years.
Oh, I bet. I have those relationships as well, and I always just think it's a God thing. I
Hmm.
always talked about how earth angels just kind of show up
Oh,
and,
yeah.
here they are. And it's a lot of gratitude when you're in a place where you need help, right? And so I love this story. You discovered the link between food and behavior. Can you talk about that?
That first doctor that I told you about that we saw initially. So
Mm-hmm.
he gave me a list of things to look for, but I don't know if you've heard of the Feingold. Dr. Fein. Have you heard of Dr. Feingold? Feingold. He's deceased many years ago, but this doctor that we saw, he introduced me to Dr. Feingold. He told me about the Feingold program, and so I did my research on that, and I learned about so many food additives, not just artificial colors. But at that time, I didn't even know about artificial colors. The only thing I knew a little about, I've heard people say gluten free, you should avoid gluten. But I didn't have anyone to support me on that path of going gluten free. Now, this was years ago. So the food additives, when he mentioned Dr. Feingold, and I got on the website, got that program. It was a whole, I ordered the program, I have books. They gave you a lot of different information about even how to shop if you are at a restaurant, different guides, because we didn't really go out to eat a lot once we really started to change the behavior. But his behavior was so bad before we started the dietary changes. I chose not to go out unless I had to. But the food additives, artificial colors, MSG, and the different names of MSG. There's so many different names for MSG, and that can be very confusing
Yeah.
for parents. But we did an elimination diet. That's how we discovered it. I would write down everything. So I always advise my parents to write down, keep a food journal. If you don't have a journal, you can just get a notebook, write down everything that they're eating, everything that they drink, so you can see a relationship, and also write down their behaviors. If they're
Mhm.
calm, if they have tantrums, like meltdowns, write all of that down so you can see, you can track it. That was very important. And that was really how we did that. We eliminated nitrates, for example, sodium nitrites and nitrates, and preservatives like BHT. We took a lot of that out of the diet.
Mhm.
And we had our road trip to visit grandma and grandpa. So we got there for the weekend. And even though she had the best intentions, she went grocery shopping. We had a phone call before we got there, and what she should buy and what she shouldn't buy, right? But she wasn't as familiar with some of the ingredients. There were nitrates were involved. So let's just say we got there Friday night, and by Saturday afternoon, he was running through the house like a Tasmanian devil. He was just like, "Who is this child?" And we could tell, okay, here it is. When we avoided that, he was so calm at home and so peaceful, no behavior problems. But then he was reintroduced to it by accident, but he had some, and we saw the behavior emerge again.
Wow, I bet as tough as that moment is when your child's behavior, he's losing it or whatever, but yay, you found it. You
Mhm.
found one of the pieces of your puzzle to
Yeah.
help your child. That is a great story. And I love the advice you gave too about writing everything down. I just did that as well, just to help me, right, figure things out.
Mhm.
So that's great advice. So how the food additives, the chemicals, what all the stuff that you were talking about, they influence our kids, our emotional and behavior well-being. So what are the top three choices families can make to help their neurodivergent children thrive? Because it is so overwhelming. What are the top three?
It is so overwhelming. I've thought about this question. I would suggest eliminating gluten, and I know that's hard. It's in a lot, but there's so many gluten-free options out there available now, and they taste nice. It doesn't taste bad. So I would say eliminating gluten, dairy-free, and also just minimizing the amount of processed foods that we give our kids.
Mhm.
Like minimize that. I know sometimes that's nearly impossible, especially when you have children, but
Yeah.
minimize that. And if you have to have cereal, for example, just read the label so that you're not feeding them all kind of colors, F, B, and
Mhm.
C, red and yellow and green and blue. So just try to maybe choose organic cereal. That's a nice replacement that does not contain the artificial colors. So I would definitely say gluten-free, dairy-free, and trying to minimize the processed foods as much as possible.
Yeah, and those are three really good ones. You're right. There are so many more gluten-free options out there now.
Mm-hmm.
Even 5 years ago, it was tough to find gluten-free, but now I go to the regular market
Mm-hmm.
and they're gluten-free options. So
Walmart has gluten-free options now.
I know.
Everybody has a Walmart.
Yeah, right. I know. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
Really. We've come a long way.
we have.
So I want to talk about your Blossom coaching program. How
Mm-hmm.
does it work and what kinds of changes have families seen?
Okay. The Blossom Coaching Program, that's a virtual program, and we have 6 sessions, 50-minute sessions with the families, mostly the parents, not the children aren't really involved with that part because I'm educating the parents. I'm teaching them how to read labels, to look at food additives. We do like a diet recall, and
Mhm.
we talk about the correlation. We even talk about supplementation and that, and I give them it's customized per child, so they get food menus, menu ideas, recipes. They like it, and so far, what some of the results that we've seen, and it just brings me so much joy when they report back and
Mhm.
seeing the behaviors calm down, the tantrums go away, the
Yeah.
focus improve, being able to sit still for longer periods of time. And
Mhm.
then verbally, some of these kids are becoming more verbal when the parents make these changes. And that brings me so much joy.
Yeah, those are huge wins to witness and to see the changes. And when we get further along in the podcast, we definitely want parents or whomever is looking for your program, we'll tell them how to find you. Don't worry if you're listening, we will get there. I do want to talk about your book. So we have so much to talk about. I'm your book moving forward,
Mhm.
Details of an Autism Journey. Would you share about your book and what do you hope parents, what is the takeaway you want parents to have?
I want parents, like, this is
Oh,
my baby, and I want parents to have hope. This book really is our personal autism journey, and it's meant to be part of a series. This starts at the very beginning of my son's diagnosis of autism, and then I walk you through the first part of elementary school. And I talk about nutrition in here. I talk about running. A lot of kids on the spectrum are runners. I talk about, having support from families and community. I talk about the therapist and being involved in different programs that we did with him. But I
mhm.
really want to give parents hope. This starts out with, like I said at the very beginning, he's nonverbal. And then as we move on, they start to see the changes. They go along with me, take the journey with me as they read this book. And it's a quick read. I know parents don't have a whole lot of time to read novels. I know I didn't. I don't. And so I intentionally wanted this to be something that was very quick read, but it has a lot of information packed in those pages that parents could gain.
Yeah,
That.
I love the cover of it. So, those of you listening, you need to check out our YouTube channel so you can show us that cover again. I really love that.
Yeah. Can you see
Oh,
that?
yeah. Yeah, I can just feel the book with your cover of you and your beautiful son. I love that. Can you get that? Where can you get that book? Amazon?
Amazon has it, and as well as my website. Yeah.
Okay, which again, we will get to, my listeners. So, your son, which I know time goes by so quickly, is now in college and doing well.
Yeah.
And your daughter also she's made tremendous progress.
Yeah.
What has sustained you, you personally, through the ups and downs of your journey?
My faith. I mentioned that earlier. I started, everything for me is all about prayer. Like I pray my way through it, right? And so at the very beginning, when we didn't know what was going on with him, I prayed and I asked God to help me. And he has helped me. Like you mentioned, earth angels. I do believe that he's put these angels here to help guide me through this journey. And we definitely have had ups and downs, but it's my faith. And I believe that God did not bring me this far to leave me. I believe that he knows my son, he knows my daughter, he knows me, he knows you, he knows all of us so individually, and he's guiding us through life. And we have angels that are here to help support us. Some we can see and some we can't see. So I know my faith has kept me, because oh goodness, sometimes I thought I was about to lose my mind, but it was my faith, and of course my husband's very supportive, and that's important too. I know some families, relationships don't always sustain having
Mhm.
a child with a disability, so I'm
Mhm.
very grateful for him and for his support as well.
I think that's so important. And if you are in one of the families that don't have the husband supporting or family support,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of families don't, and it breaks my heart to hear it.
Yeah.
But find support. If you don't have it, find it is something I'd like to always talk about, because we can't do this on our own.
No, we cannot.
No. And so I love all the wisdom. And of course, I knew you were going to give us wisdom and all your tools and beautiful things to share. I would love one piece of advice you'd offer a mom raising children on the spectrum.
I really feel like it's important for the moms to make time for themselves. Self care is so important. We go through so much raising children, with disabilities. It's hard, it can be challenging, it's rewarding too. But a lot of times we don't make time to take care of us. So I want moms to know, like, do something for you that brings you joy. Make a joy list. Make a list of things that bring you joy. Some can be free and some can cost, but make a joy list. And you need to visit that joy list and do something from that list on a regular basis, because it's so important for you to remember one of the ways we can de-stress, and we are under stress. We all are. So we need to remember to take care of ourselves, to love on ourselves. That is not selfish, that is necessary. So we need to make sure moms know that you need to take care of you. So you're so right, Brigitte. Find support. Find a support group. Find a church group. Find someone in your community if you don't have it at home. If you don't have family members, but you need a night out. You need to take care of yourself. Go have a spa day or whatever. Just go for a walk. Even if it's just getting out, going for a walk, enjoying nature. But you need to take care of yourself. You need to rest your mind and find peace. And so I feel like that's the advice that I would give.
Yeah, and it's powerful advice. And I think we're kind of like veteran moms, right, who've been on the journey a bit longer than some of the moms that may be listening. And when we say this as being a piece of advice, it's because we've lived it and we know that how important it is to
Absolutely.
to take care of yourself and have a joy list. I love that, a joy list. And also, it doesn't have to cost anything. You can find joy in going for a walk or doing some of those beautiful, simple things. Make it simple, right?
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that you would like to share before we go?
I would also, I thought about this and I didn't mention it earlier, but
Yeah.
if you're a new mom or you have a child that's just being diagnosed and you want to change the diet, you want to, go down that road, I would suggest don't just single out that one child. Change it for everyone in the household. Like that's what I did. It makes it easier for you. So if you're going to do gluten free, then you do gluten free for everybody.
Yes.
If you're gonna do dairy free, then everyone gets dairy free. So I would suggest the mom or the dad or whoever's doing this, who's taking charge of the meal planning, make sure you do it for the whole household. Let them know that they're supporting whoever that child is, that you're supporting and you're showing love, and that's how we do it. We are a family. We do this together. So I do feel like that's something that I wanted to share. Don't try to make it harder for yourself and cook 10 different meals, but just, and one thing that I did when I was younger, like you mentioned, we're veteran moms who've been down the road a little bit longer.
Mhm.
My kids at that time, I had three. Now I have four. But one, my older son, that's not on the spectrum, the neurotypical one, we would have little mommy son dates, and he and I would go because we did like pizza. We like cheese. So we
Yeah.
would go and get, pizza, just the two of
Mhm.
us, because we couldn't bring it in the house. I chose not to bring it in the house because I didn't want to, that was unfair for my other son and daughter too. And so we would do that. So have those individual date nights if you have more than one child with your neurotypical kid, because that kid on the spectrum, he or she is going to require a lot of your time. And
Yeah.
so the other child or the other children may feel neglected at times. And that is, that can be typical sometimes. So make sure you make room and make time for them, and let them know that you're still there for them. You have your special time with them as well, and they will
I
appreciate that.
I love that so much because we don't talk enough about the other kids, right?
Siblings. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we just kind of take it for granted. We're so focused on the child who needs us the most, I guess, or
Mm-hmm.
that's how we feel.
Yeah.
And I love that idea to make, if you have a neurotypical child, let them, or any child, let them feel
Mm-hmm.
special for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I did dates with my boys too, and I think it makes a big difference.
It does. It strengthens your bond with them. And so, and it's just creating those beautiful memories,
Mm.
right? It's just creating memories.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I still reflect on from time. And they grow up so fast.
I know.
So it's just precious for us to hold them in our hearts a little bit longer, when we have that time with them.
Yeah, that is truth right there. Because mine are grown. So here we go. Our listeners want to know where they can find and learn more about you.
Okay. Well, my website is beyondradianthc.com. So that's BeyondRadiant, Beyond Radiant, HC as in health coach. So beyondradianthc.com. And then I am on Instagram at Beyond Radiant 422. So at Beyond Radiant 422, I'm on Instagram. And I honestly have Facebook, although I don't post a lot on Facebook.
Mhm.
So I mean, you can still find me there at Beyond Radiant Health Coaching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we will have this information in all of our release information on Mother's Guide Through Autism, our website. Yeah, everything that we do is under Mother's Guide Through Autism. So we're not hard to find, but we will have all this beautiful information on our websites and social media outlets as well, because we want everyone to find you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bridget. This has been amazing. Thank you so much. I really hope parents can gain something from this interview.
Yeah, I have no doubt that they will. Been doing this a while, and you were a lovely guest. As you release your other books, you said it was going to be a series.
Mm-mm.
Keep us updated and come back and visit with us.
I will. And I will just briefly say this is a food journal. So
Oh,
this
yeah.
was released at the end of last year. So yeah, my daily food journal. Because as a young mom, when my son was diagnosed, I wrote everything down in like a little notebook. Sometimes I would just get a post-it and just write it and a post-it and just stick it, in a book. But this, I thought, well, it has information in there for, your 3 meals, your 2 snacks. I even included a spot for behavior, like I wanted parents to jot down behavior and stool patterns. We don't talk a lot about the stool
Yeah.
pattern, behavior patterns, but that makes a difference too. That's one of those clues that I share when we do have sessions with our parents. I talk about their behavior pattern because I think that's missing. Like, I think that is a missing link that we
Mm.
don't really help to tie the clue in for behavior. Because if there's anything going on with the brain, it's also the gut. The brain and gut is connected. So if you have inflammation in your brain, you're going to have inflammation in your gut. And that may show in constipation, or diarrhea. So
Mm.
that's in here too.
Yeah. And where can we find that?
That also, again, website and Amazon.
Okay,
Yeah.
because the food journal, that is a great idea. And so this is perfect. You just get the journal
Mhm.
and go along with it because I think that saves so much stress and time. We've got enough on our plates, right? So that's a very good idea to have that journal. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. It has been an incredible pleasure having you on A Mother's Guide Through Autism. You were a great guest because we want to spread knowledge, hope, and inspiration, and that's exactly what you just did.
Thank you, Bridget. I sure have appreciated this opportunity. It's been a joy meeting you.
Same here. If you enjoyed this episode of A Mother's Guide Through Autism podcast, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'll see you in the next episode.